Hi, I'm Tim Schaff, welding specialist with CK Supply. Oxy-fuel cutting and heating with CK Supply's Blue Flame Plus is what we are here to discuss today, and specifically the differences that exist when transitioning from acetylene. It's important to understand that the intent of this video is to properly demonstrate cutting techniques and heating principles of Blue Flame Plus. Remember, there are many dangers associated with using the oxy-fuel process, and although this video will discuss some of those dangers, it is not intended to be a comprehensive safety training video. Additional safety-related information is available through the following sources: Victor Cutting Equipment, Chemtane Energy, the American Welding Society, Occupational Safety and Health Organization, ANSI Standard Z49.1, Safety in Welding and Cutting, available from the American Welding Society. Many people have heard this term before, but what is an alternative fuel gas? Alternative fuel gases are those that differ in chemical composition when compared to acetylene. These gases are utilized for soldering, brazing, heating, and cutting applications. It's important to note that welding is not recommended with alternative fuel gases due to the fact that they lack the ability to produce the necessary amount of CO2 gas, which is required to properly protect the weld. Examples of alternative fuel gases are natural gas, propane, propylene, as well as proprietary gas blends such as Blue Flame Plus. What is Blue Flame Plus? Blue Flame Plus is a propane-based cutting fuel that is designed to provide greater levels of safety, economic value, and performance when compared to acetylene. Alternative fuel gas cylinders, including those used for Blue Flame Plus, vary in construction from acetylene cylinders. For example, the inside of an acetylene cylinder is filled entirely with a porous filler material. The filler material is then saturated with liquid acetone. This allows the acetylene to be pressurized safely in the cylinder. Alternative fuel gases do not exhibit the same pressure limitations as acetylene. Therefore, the gas can be stored in a hollow cylinder. When using acetylene, liquid acetone can be withdrawn from the cylinder, which can cause damage to the equipment, thus creating a potentially dangerous situation. To avoid this condition, it is required to limit the withdrawal rate to 1/7 of the cylinder volume per hour. Blue Flame Plus does not share the same withdrawal rate restrictions as acetylene. This is beneficial for certain high volume applications. When comparing the performance between Blue Flame Plus and acetylene, a Blue Flame Plus cylinder can do as much as 5 times the work than an acetylene cylinder of the same size. It is also important to understand that safety procedures remain the same for all oxy-fuel processes, regardless of fuel type used. Let's quickly review some key safety procedures that you will want to follow each time you set up and use oxy-fuel equipment. Always consult with the manufacturer's recommendations for your specific equipment before attempting to install or operate. Inspect the cylinder valve threads and regulator for any dirt, oils, grease, and damage to the seating surfaces. Do not use if any are present. Before installing the regulator, always position yourself on the opposing side of the valve opening on the cylinder. and slowly open the valve for a moment to clear any dirt and debris. Use grade T hose, as this is the only recommended grade to use with alternative fuel gases. Do not use grade R and RM hoses recommended for acetylene, as they have the potential to allow liquefied gas to permeate through the gas hose. It is strongly recommended that you install reverse flow check valves and flashback arresters and maintain these safety devices to the manufacturer's recommendations. When using combination style torches, always inspect the O-rings and mating surfaces before using. Check the system for leaks using products specifically designed for use with Oxy-fuel equipment. Before lighting the torch, always purge each hose independently for a minimum of 3 to 5 seconds to remove any mixed gases that may have entered the system. As previously mentioned, it is our recommendation that you consult with the manufacturer of your equipment to determine the proper cutting tip and pressure setting recommendations. Before we begin discussing how to produce an acceptable cut using Blue Flame Plus, it's important to understand some differences that exist between this gas and acetylene. Alternative fuel gases burn at a different velocity than acetylene. Because of this, many manufacturers have specifically engineered their nozzles and tips to match the unique burning characteristics of each fuel gas. Consult your manufacturer for a list of specifically designed cutting and heating tips for alternative fuels. When using Blue Flame Plus, the heat generated from combustion is released in the secondary flame, not the primary flame from which acetylene is released. This may require the operator to modify techniques by using a greater standoff distance than what is required for acetylene. Faster preheating and a broader, less concentrated heat pattern might also be noticed. These differences will require a certain level of technique modification from the operator and should be expected when transitioning from acetylene. Applications can vary greatly. Additional experimentation with operator technique as well as tip selection might be required to optimize your operation. Earlier we discussed that alternative fuel gases like Blue Flame Plus have a slower burning velocity than acetylene. This can create certain unexpected challenges when it comes to lighting the torch, especially for cutting and heating applications. When opening the cylinder valve, always stand on the opposite side of the valve and regulator. Make certain the adjustment knob or screw is completely backed out on the regulator before opening the cylinder valve. Next, slowly open the fuel gas valve on the cylinder 3/4 to 1 turn, and slowly open the oxygen valve completely. Always purge the system before attempting to light the torch. Adjust the regulator to the equipment manufacturer's recommended pressure settings for the cutting tip used. There are 3 lighting techniques commonly used when using alternative fuel gases. The first technique involves turning the fuel valve 1/4 turn and lighting the torch. At this step, it is important to make certain that you limit your fuel volume to keep the flame burning at the tip. If too much volume of fuel is allowed, this will tend to extinguish the flame once oxygen is introduced. Next, slowly turn on the oxygen preheat valve 1/4 to 1/2 turn. Making small individual adjustments to the fuel and oxygen gas valves, slowly walk up the flame until it reaches the tip. The next technique is particularly useful in windy conditions. Open the fuel gas valve 1/4 to 1/2 turns and light the torch. Next, lay the cutting tip on the material at approximately a 25 to 45 degree angle and open the oxygen valve on the torch slowly until the flame turns blue and the inner cone snaps back to the tip. Remove the tip from the material and adjust the flame to a neutral setting. The final technique involves opening the fuel gas valve on the torch 1/4 to 1/2 turn. Now open the oxygen valve on the torch half the amount of the fuel gas, then light the torch. Now adjust to a neutral flame setting by making small individual adjustments to the fuel and oxygen gas valves. Slowly walk up the flame until it reaches the tip. When making a cut with an alternative fuel gas, notice that the standoff distance will be slightly higher compared to acetylene. Blue Flame Plus will allow the operator to make the cut several inches away from the base material if it is required for the application. This is due to the heat being produced in the secondary flame. Blue Flame Plus produces less CO2 gas, which creates less dross on the backside of the cut and reduces the probability of weld back. When shutting down the torch, start by slowly walking down the flame. This is accomplished by making small individual adjustments to the fuel gas and oxygen gas valves. When using Victor cutting equipment, always complete the shutdown procedures by turning off the oxygen valve first on the torch, followed by the fuel gas valve. When heating attachments are used, always consult with your manufacturer's recommended pressure and volume requirements. When using heating attachments with Blue Flame Plus, lighting procedures are similar to acetylene. First, turn the fuel gas valve on slightly, then light the torch. If too much fuel pressure is used, the flame will be in danger of extinguishing once the oxygen valve is open. This is due to the slower burning velocity of the gas. Now, with both gases on, slowly walk up the flame until a neutral flame is reached. The shutdown procedure for the heating attachment is opposite from the lighting procedure. Slowly walk down the flame so the pressure is reduced. Once the pressure is reduced, turn the oxygen valve off, followed by the gas valve. Once finished with the operation, it is now time to purge the system of any remaining gases that may be present. To do this, start by turning off both the oxygen and fuel gas valves on the cylinders. Now, purge the gas out of the system. This will be accomplished by opening the oxygen valve first on the torch and allowing the pressure on the regulator to drop to 0. Then close the valve. Repeat this procedure for the fuel gas. When finished, always make certain that the adjustment knob or screw is fully backed out. In summary, always follow your equipment manufacturer's recommendation for installation and operation procedures. Always inspect the cylinder valve, regulator, hose fittings, and torch connections for any dirt, grease, oils, or damage that may be present. And don't attempt to use equipment until it has been checked and repaired by a qualified technician. Always purge the system before attempting to light the torch, to clear any mixed gases that may have entered the system. Remember, alternative fuel gases carry the heat in the secondary flame, not the primary flame like acetylene. This will require modification requirements to your cutting and heating techniques. Thanks for watching, and for additional information, please contact the following: Victor Cutting Equipment, Chemtane Energy, the American Welding Society, Occupational Safety and Health Organization, ANSI Standard Z49.1, Safety in Welding and Cutting, available from the American Welding Society.